Right, so this was initially going to be like a 5-minute video of me talking about the Lilo and Stitch film. But instead of being an old man that screams at the sky, I thought, why not deconstruct why the Lilo and Stitch live action remake failed? Because it does. Now, let me be clear when I say this. I do not blame any of the actors involved in this film. In fact, the only potential saving grace of this film might be the cuteness of Maria Colia. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She's a treasure, and so assume that anything negative I have to say has no bearing on her or even the special effects team, because Stitch actually does look pretty good. He's not as emotive as he could be. Obviously, it's a little harder to be emotive when you're an actual thing rather than a cartoon, but nonetheless, he looked good. I think Jumba and Plickly's designs looked good for a film. But right now, look, I'm going to be tearing into this film, but I want to be clear, it is from a storytelling perspective, not attacking the actors involved. So the opening is fine, and it does mirror the original film's opening, so good start, but let's flag a few things. First off, where's this fish-faced bastard? All I can think of to say is that maybe they didn't want an oversized cop chasing down an alien, but I mean, he's an important obstacle that we will get back to later. On the flip side, we do mirror Nani trying to give a safe environment for Lilo, while Lilo is having issues with girls in her class. Not the exact same, but again, it's close enough to where it's fine. But they do fail to paint Lilo as an outcast, more like a girl that's not liked. But what are her unique traits? Like in the original film, when she puts the forks of her friends and in the pickle jar and mixes them up, and she says, "My friends have been bad with bubbles." That's hilarious. She doesn't do that in this film. And then we get a visit from a social worker, and why is this not Cobra Bubbles? And why is this not Terry Crews? Right, so here's the first part of the breakdown. At the end of the film, Bubbles, or Cobra Bubbles, or Agent Bubbles? Special Agent? Whatever. Look, Cobra Bubbles is considered a part of the family. But to do that, he needs to be part of the story from the very beginning in a supportive role. He isn't a bad guy, but he's just trying to look out for Lilo's best interest. That makes him a more interesting character and a trustworthy character. We then have Lilo wishing upon a star for an angel to come, but she gets stuck with Stitch. Now, I'll give you this. The wedding sequence was good, but I feel like I've seen that before. A blue alien screwing up a wedding. Oh, wait. The whole, oh no, gravity's getting heavier thing, that's actually solid. And I believe that these two would be sisters. They have that chemistry at the very least. However, this part of the film comes way later than the original film. The pacing's a little off already. Now, in the animated film, Lilo is showing off Stitch to Myrtle at about the 30-minute mark. And that's when stuff starts to get out of order and when Jumba starts to lose a lot of his character. Stitch is forced to be adopted by Lilo in order to try and escape, but there's a point when Jumba yells,
"For a shield, this is low even for you!"
He never says that in the live action film, making him even more of a villain. Now, I get it. They didn't want to use Gantu. Why? I don't understand, but that's assassinating Jumba's character. Because in the original film and the original series, Jumba was family. He was that big kooky uncle that everyone has and everyone loves. But for some reason, they made him a villain, and I don't fully understand why. Now, this might seem like a throwaway line, but it does establish that Jumba has his limits, which is important later on. Now, in the live action remake, we get about 30 minutes of Stitch causing chaos and not getting fired, and then they go surfing. While in the animated version, we get Stitch being adopted and introduced to other characters, Stitch causing chaos, Nani getting fired, but that takes like 7 minutes. In the extra bits, we do have Stitch causing chaos, but also Lilo calming him down. And then there's a scene where Jumba says,
26 was designed to be a monster. What must it be like to have nothing? Not even memories to visit.
that is excellent character building. But we're not seeing that in the live action version. That's when the ugly duckling story kicks in and Stitch learning about what family is and Ohana and the whole idea and the concept of it. I love that in the original film. That made me tear it up in the original film, whereas in the live action, we don't really get that. We do get Lilo trying to teach Stitch how to be good while Bubbles is turning up the pressure on Nani to get a job, be more stable, create a better environment for Lilo. Now, while he may come off as a bad guy from an adult's perspective, all he's asking is what's best for her. We do get the surfing sequence, but we see the impact more immediately. After a heartfelt talk between the two sisters, Stitch flees out of guilt and seemingly voluntarily, although Lilo does give the heartbreaking line,
"Remember everyone that leaves?
We then see Stitch in the middle of nowhere telling, or speaking, I guess, into the ether, he's lost. And I love this, and it broke my heart, and it breaks my heart every single time. Lilo is then about to be taken when Jumba shows up and screws everything. While the animated film, it's stuffed to the brim with story and moments, the live action film feels like it's spinning its wheels, trying to fill out time. The last 30 minutes of the live action film, Nani is informed that Lilo will be taken, and then we have them have their talk. No ugly duckling moment, how dare you. But then at that point, Lilo goes to retrieve him at a shelter. And that's when they're jumped by this crappy version of Jumba, and he chases them all the way to the house when it gets destroyed. And it's just, it feels so cheap. It feels so like made for TV film, but this has a movie budget. Does that make sense? Lilo does get on the ship to save Stitch, while Stitch saves her by letting her go in the water, making sure that she doesn't drown in the ocean because he's too heavy. And I'll give him this. Stitch willing to drown to save Lilo, fair enough. It shows a willingness, his growth, and when Nani saves him, fair enough. Okay, I will give you that. That one part of the climax is solid. However, I would argue that the whole "this is my family" lacks the gut punch that the original had because they didn't do the hard work in making you care about these characters like they did in the animated film. In the live action film, Jumba is taken while Stitch is allowed to stay on Earth. Oh, and Lilo will now live with her neighbors while Nani goes off to college in California. I'm going to dunk on them right now. The whole point of the movie is the concept of Ohana. While I can see the argument that Nani needs to go live her life, but that isn't the story that they're trying to tell here. If you want to make a movie about a sister making a hard choice to go to college, that's fine. But then don't call it Lilo and Stitch. Make an original story out of it. The themes of the original are found family and staying together. You can't have it both ways. You cannot use a property but then not respect its origin roots. I'm just making that point. Now let's jump back to the original Lilo and Stitch for a real third act. Jumba and Stitch have a really funny fight with a lot of quips. The surgery part with the doll is hilarious. Leave my mother out of this, hilarious. The porta potties, the Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, the hot potato, all love it. Stitch is oozing with character in the animated film, not so much in the live action. After the explosion, Lilo is taken, and she's understandably angry with Stitch. But that's when Captain Gantu captures the both of them. Stitch is able to escape. He's trying to break Lilo out, but he falls off. But it's at that moment that we have twin stories of character growth. Stitch is captured, but Jumba sets him free when Nani pleads for him to help him get Lilo back. It's a rescue mission. Jumba turns face, and this becomes the team up that we need for them to save Lilo. The spaceship chase in Hawaii is awesome. Stitch saving the frog is solid. The whole "don't leave me," it's emotional and it's great. And as you can tell, I love this movie. The crashing of the truck and Stitch taking down Gantu, it's all entertaining as all hell, which shows Stitch embracing his character.
Oh, so cute and fluffy!
He comes back for Lilo and no one gets left behind. Once back on land, Stitch is technically recaptured for like the third time in this film, but he shows his growth. He has a name, he asks for permission, he has manners. He wants to say goodbye to his family.
This is my family. It's little and broken, but still good. Yeah, still good.
And then Bubbles helps Lilo keep Stitch, which again is why he's so important in this role. He's part of this bigger family. Jumba and Pleakley stay on Earth, and then we have a montage that legit makes me cry every time I watch it, with all these lovely characters growing as a family. Imagine if after that gut-wrenching moment, Nani leaves Lilo with Bubbles and goes off to college. What the... So why did the live-action movie fail? Well, not in a box office perspective, it did gangbusters. But namely, where are the duckies? Captain Gantu is important as a consistent antagonist. Bubbles needs to be a strong moral compass. Jumba needs to flip from mad scientist to neutral to good guy, part of the family, the uncle that you love. Pleakley should have had his drag. I'm just saying. Why are you going to do it then if you're not going to respect the source material in this capacity? At least if it's part of the characteristic, it should be a thing. I'm just saying. Nani needs to stick around. Lilo is great. And Stitch needs to be more emotive and have some character. Maybe that's why the whole live action Lion King didn't work, because it's a lot harder to read this face than this face. The animated film gives us a lot of great back and forth dialogue, while the live action movie makes Jumba a very basic and plain villain. Now, I understand the director did say he wanted to portray Jumba as a more, like, almost like abusive father. That, like, oh, he's a jerk. Yes, I get that. But don't dumb it down for kids. Kids can keep up with complex storytelling. If Jumba flips and decides to help Stitch in the third act, kids will go with you with it as long as he's not a goddamn heartless monster beforehand. The whole using a little girl as a human shield, that establishes, hey, he's not a total bad guy. This film just lacks the punch of the original. Now, it's fair to tell me that I'm just an old man yelling at the sky. This is a movie that made bank. I just wish that they had told a better story. Lilo and Stitch, I don't really have a rating, I'm just disappointed. Go watch the animated film. It's definitely a better experience, but that's just me. That said, what do you think? Let us know down below. We'd greatly appreciate it. What other live action movies are actually good compared to the originals? And we'll catch y'all next time. See you, everybody.